Do you believe in magic?
And I hope you do.
I believe it's magic. I believe it's magic. Yeah, so we did a big disappearing act.
That was not our fault, but I guess it was in a way because we should have done something about it years ago.
Years ago. I want to go on the record and say, fuck the podcast garden. I mean, we got what we paid for with them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll be kind of curious to see like if people would be like, oh, hey, you guys released a new episode. I haven't heard nothing from you.
Randy sent me a text with 30 new episodes on his iTunes feed. He's like, well, I guess it worked then because I told him that we were going to do new stuff. So I'm sure when it first popped on there, he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, and that one day we started getting messages from Dan. He's like, did you guys do a beer cast without me? I'm like, no.
Yeah, that was old school a long time ago.
So basically, if you're a steady listener, if you want to go back to, I mean, and so here's the crazy thing, right? Like, I mean, these episodes were not available for basically probably the past 5 years.
Yeah, the garden
because the garden would be like 6 months back. I mean, you could look at the list and they had the episodes on there, but you couldn't listen to anything that was older than 6 months. It seemed like.
Yeah.
So now's a chance to catch up with some classics.
Yeah, I've decided to do 30 a week. So tomorrow or Sunday, I'll put the next roughly 30 until it hits the 58 mark or whatever, and then we're gonna have to have some sessions going on because we're gonna have to upload pictures, data, the whole nine. But
and it's kind of interesting too. I mean, just seeing the evolution of the podcast through that time, because I mean, those first, I guess up to episode 58 for the most part, like we didn't do specialized artwork for the episodes or anything like that.
When did we add Rowena?
I don't even remember when that was.
I don't either.
That was quite a while later though, I think.
Mm-hmm. Because we had messed around with it where it was not the intro was different.
Yeah. Because I think what I used to do originally was I would go through and I'd find like a clip from within the episode that I liked, and I would put that at the beginning. And I don't even think I did that very early on. I think that came, I can't even remember what episode I started doing that.
I was listening to a couple of them, and you, it was pretty early on though. You were doing that.
Yeah. And then,
which is cool. I like that.
Then we started getting the Rowena thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And even she's kind of changed her format, the way that we've done stuff with her, because we used to open with her.
Mm-hmm. Is that still free, or did AWS fucking Amazon?
I bought it. I actually paid for it.
Because that's what it was. AWS is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that has to do with anything on computer analytical shit.
There were still things that were free. However, if you wanted the Rowena voice, you had to pay for it. And I was like, I'm just going to buy it because I liked it because it was so versatile and we could program like pretty much on the fly whatever we needed her to say. So you could make it pretty topical or whatever. But at the same time too, like it was interesting how we started to kind of streamline things. So we started to, because honestly, like the uploading and the editing process of the whole thing, it's not fun. So I mean, whenever you take those things and you can just kind of streamline it to where you can just plug and play and go, it made it a lot more fun, I think, or at least a lot faster for the processing on the back end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, anything when it comes to editing, if you've got shortcuts or you've got things to cut down even just 10 seconds of your time, I mean, that's huge, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, not that... I don't know. We probably don't want to go too crazy talking about that. That's boring shit. But no, just I guess the point is, if you'd missed us for a while, there was a reason why, and we kind of had to regroup. And you know what else I really enjoyed was after all this time of us doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Not a single one of us out of the three, and unfortunately Rick's not here tonight, but not a single one of us out of the three was like, "Well, we're done. We're not doing it anymore."
Yeah, that would have been weird.
Yeah,
I don't think any of us had that in us. Even it's been hard to get all three of us together. There's been times where it could have been done, and then I was I was whatever, and then there's been times Rick's whatever, you're whatever, whatever's going on. But yeah, it's been weird because this has been a lot of 3 people casts in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And we're the closest we've ever been.
Yeah,
since before the whole move and everyone moved and dispersed a little bit.
The parting of 3.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, what are you going to do? You got life you got to deal with, and then sometimes you're not feeling well, whether it's mental or physical, whatever the fuck, and you just can't go. Hopefully we can get some more stability in the future of us going forward, even if it's just like a call in, for one of us when we're on the road or when we're working late or whatever. If it's just like a fucking 15-minute call in, it'd be kind of cool. It kind of sucks to not have the dynamic of the 3 people, especially going into topics where things can be weighed on, because me and you can get into some shit talking and Rick just doesn't really much care about it. You can tell, or doesn't know much about it. And the same with you and Rick, and then the same with me and Rick. But yeah, it's always better with the third dynamic, so we can have that, because we can get into some shit, me and you, and start fucking nerding out hardcore, like on some fucking like some really nerd shit. And then Rick can always bring us around a little bit to kind of calm us down, because we can kind of go off a little bit, especially me when I'm drinking. So,
well, I guess too, when you look at some of those early episodes, like we were, and I don't know if we just, not that we kind of ran that well dry, but we would be very topical.
Yeah.
And then we've just, I don't want to call it lazy, because I don't think it is. But we've started to just kind of, we're going to get together, we're going to talk, and we're going to just whatever is interesting and poignant to us.
Yeah, and I think that started from us progressing, because I had come up with some ideas, you had come up with ideas in regards to the podcast as a whole, on how we should set up and how we should do things. And it got to the point where it wasn't fun, because I was trying to get a hold of you guys, you were trying to get a hold of me, living so far away from each other, and then trying to come up with a topic. And the top 10s are a perfect example of this. It got to the point where it wasn't fun to do top 10s anymore, because it was like, who fucking cares? And you're making me spend all this fucking time, not making, but I'm spending all this time looking for these lists. And then when it comes down, our top 5s are almost always the same shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fun anymore. It just seemed like, I wouldn't say work, because that's stupid, but it just felt, because we don't get paid for this, so it's not work. But
it's a labor of love.
No, it's a labor of love. But it just got to a point where it was, one of us maybe wouldn't be into it so much, and then we wouldn't shut off completely, but it just became a 2-man cast.
Yeah.
Or it became a 1-person show where the other 2 were just kind of there riding the wave of the other person. The top 10s were fun, and they had their place. And I like to still do top 10s from here and there, but I think a 10 on 10 started to get a little bit.
Oh, dude, it was hard. Well, and then, like I said, I think for me, the straw that broke the camel's back is when we rehashed that one episode, and I was like, no more.
Oh, it was hilarious. Yeah, none of us picked up on it until later.
Yeah, I was just like, we've done this.
We already fucking did this shit.
We did this. Anyway, and the funny thing is, there's not, you can't sit there and be like, oh, well, you just ran out of ideas for top 10s. No, there's a shit ton of ideas for top 10s, mm-hmm. but it became, well, what is interesting top 10s?
Right. There's only so many favorite 80s songs or 80s movies, or so many of your favorite 90s, rock and roll bands that you can do. Who the fuck wants to hear, some people might, but who wants to hear like the top 10, your top 10 most precious gemstones, or, your top 10 favorite animals? Like, somebody is going to want to hear that, sure. Most people don't really care. But we could do like a top 10 where it's like your favorite whatever's across history. And that would be fun, because people like to theorize about like your top 3 favorite. This is a big thing. It's always been a big, your top 3 people you'd want to take to dinner. That's fun, but it's been hit so many times by so many different people, so many different sites, so many different companies that, who gives a shit? That's some old fucking MySpace shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take a poll. Let's take the fucking MySpace polls. You know that Facebook adopted, and then everyone still does. But who's on that platform? But you know, it has to be fun for everybody involved, for the people listening, because a lot of people aren't going to want to hear the shit, and then me, you, and Rick aren't going to want to do these top 10s. The same with just getting together to talk about a specific topic. I could be geeked about something, and maybe you could, maybe Rick could, but if it's something I'm bringing to the table that I'm interested in, that could be anecdotal, and I can bring it up. We could talk 5-10 minutes about it, but for a long time, we'd structure our fucking podcast with like 3 main topics, 2 main topics, 1 main topic, and just hammer it so fucking hard that by the end, I think we're like, just like, what are we talking about now? We're just talking about the same shit.
Yeah. And
then we just start bantering between us. And I think the evolution is I don't know when the talk came or when it happened, but we just decided, hey, let's just start fucking riffing off each other and let's start having a good time, because there's always things to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's in topical, yes, but over the years, the topics have become the same fucking thing around the world. It's the same bullshit now. There's nothing that's like, oh, this is fun over here and this is fun over here. It's almost always, especially the last 3 years, 4 years even, it's just fucking politics. That's all that the world talks about. There's nothing else.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too, because I mean, when you think back, I mean, because I think we were like a lot more. I don't want to say we're less fun now, but I think the world has changed so much, even from when we started the podcast.
Extreme, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it has changed so much, and I mean, I think we've seen I don't know if I would say we've seen the peak of the nerdiness, and like we're going to start to see the pendulum swing the opposite way now, because there was so much like cool nerd shit coming out all the time. Yeah, and there still is, but it's the same stuff,
right? It's
kind of newer versions of the same thing over and over and over.
And what's driving all that bullshit? Media is driving it.
Yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons is a thing that's been around. Well, I mean, people have been doing it since the 70s, but it didn't become like extremely popularized until like around 85, when they started upgrading the books and doing the different books with like I can't remember the name of the fucking book right now, but whatever. The point is and then it went away again, and only the nerds still played D&D through high school, through college even, and then if you were that person, you probably didn't have a lot of social interactions other than your core cast. And then with the invention and with the technology getting better, you no longer had to be in the same room with anybody to do D&D. You can literally be on a Zoom call or whatever, Discord channel, whatever, you pick your poison. And so you could be a complete shut-in, and nerds got ridiculed. And to your point, it wasn't cool again until Stranger Things came out.
Yeah.
And the people are like, oh, it's so cool because these little boys are doing it. Yeah, the same nerds that motherfuckers been picking on this whole time. And now it's cool because it was on a show. So it's just a media trend set, which is fine. But that whole thing, it came and it fucking went.
Oh, dude.
There's nobody fucking cares about D&D anymore. There's zero. The only way the people that care about it are the same people who've been watching Critical Role on Twitch, who've been subscribed to like Geek and Sundry, which is a shell of what it was. Geek and Sundry is a garbage website that's just devoted to fucking wokeness, fake wokeness. Take your pick. I don't know. I can't stand it. But Board Game Geek, things like that, those people are still on there, but there's no new influx anymore because there's nothing new to represent that. We've almost had our fill of nerddom, if you will. Like, it's been great for nerds with the comic book movies, with the comic books period, with toys, with all these things that are brought about by media, but it's not sustainable.
No.
And so like I'm having, even me, like personally, excluding the podcast on what we're going to talk about, but I'm having a hard time really giving a shit either about comic book movies right now, because for one, I don't really give a fuck. Spider-Man is about the only one I think I really care about, only because people say it's amazing. So I'll watch it. But like the Eternals, I still haven't watched. Don't even think I'm going to watch it. Don't even care about it. Maybe but it might be one of those things on a Sunday morning. I'm got nothing to do. Maybe I'll just pop it on while I'm cleaning or some shit. But like video games, you know, those are always going to be a staple of me, whether if I play them like I used to or not. But as a whole, this big nerd push that came with like the True Blood generation, where there's like this new vampire shit's coming back again, you know, where it's cool to fucking be vampire-y again, you know, post glitter vampire shit. Not bad movies, by the way, but I mean, they're still kiddie. Stuff with weird fucking teen vibes. But it's gone. And so like we have our D&D cast, which I'm still working on.
Well, that's all right. We still have one episode release of that last episode.
I'm still working on it, and it will be ready at some point. But this is neither here nor there. The point is like, if you're going to stay on topic about something, it has to be topical for people to want to listen, unless it's your core group who are just going to listen to a bunch of idiots talk. And this is what we've been doing. If things come up, that's great. But look, there's no more fucking CES, really. There's no more fucking E3, really. There's no more fucking Comic-Con, really. So, like, all the shit that we would geek about and be kind of enjoyed upon, it's like, well, it's not really a thing anymore. You know? The whole nerddom thing has kind of been put to the side. And we could still geek out on video games and stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
But
even then, though, I mean, I don't want to call us old.
I don't want to get in there.
But it's hard to take the time to be able to play the way we used to in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I used to be able to like knock out maybe like bigger games. I'd be able to knock out maybe 5 or 6 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
Like completion, you know, I'm not that I'm a completionist, but beginning to end.
Sure.
Now it's like maybe 3 I'll get done.
Right.
You know?
And that's if they're good, you know, good short games.
They've got to be a good game that's going to keep my interest that whole time, you know.
Like Halo, what? Yeah. 12 hours tops?
Yeah, I think it was 12 to 15 maybe.
It's about what I put into it. And I fucking almost did like a full clear on that game.
Yeah, there was, and when I finished it, I was like, well, there's not a whole lot. I mean, maybe I'd want to go back through it in co-op if I ever had good internet and people to play with it.
Yeah, it might be kind of neat, especially with someone that never played it before, Rick or something like that, you know. Go through and have a good time.
And then...
But it's short, right? That's the point. You have time to get through it, and it's something that you were invested in from the past, and it worked out well.
But you know what else? What was one of our most popular episodes that I always got a lot of requests on was conspiracy theories and UFO and mystery stuff, and we never did a whole lot of those, which I find kind of... We did touch on conspiracies from time
early
to time,
on,
but we didn't. We have not done one in a long time.
No, I was a little bit of foreshadowing there. That's kind of what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight. Without Rick, unfortunately, because he likes conspiracies as well, and he's got a lot of he's got some cool ones that he saves up in there, I think.
No, he does. He's as much as a conspiracy theorist as I think I am. I think he's a little bit more, a little bit there.
I think so. Oh, God damn it!
What?
I was gonna do something cool, but I can't see my buttons, so I'm not doing cool. But now we're doing cool. Totally not contrived.
The reason there's so many gay people now is because it's a chemical warfare operation. I have the government documents where they said they're going to encourage homosexuality with chemicals so that people don't have children.
Welcome to the Eclectic Podcast, the most eclectic podcast on the net, with your hosts Dylan, Rick, and Hans. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. If it happens to offend you, fuck off. Skynet is God.
Oh man, conspiracies?
Conspiracy with Hans and Dylan, no Rick. If y'all got some conspiracies out there, just shoot them to us. We've got plenty of places for you to fucking find us.
Yeah, no shit.
Just shoot us. Even if you're like old school, you just want to email, just fucking shoot us an email.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not,
we got an email address. You can always email us at contact@theeclecticpodcast.com.
Or The Eclectic Pod, right? On Twitter.
Mm-hmm. On Twitter.
And on Facebook, The Eclectic Podcast, right?
Yeah, we've got and it's, I mean, our follower count on Facebook is still like 1,200. Which, I mean, it's not, we're not fucking huge.
No, it's the power of the metaverse, man.
That's decent.
It's the power of the meta, bro.
Considering, like, I mean, we're three dudes that have no claim to fame, no internet celebrity. Yeah. That's not horrible.
Hey, man, Zuckerberg's hooking it up, man.
Well, you know.
He's fucking throwing us into meta. Whenever it goes full fucking VR, you can probably interact with us in VR. We'll be still here doing it.
That'd be kind of interesting to sit in a room, like, with a podcast in meta and see versions of people talking.
Yeah, it would. It would. It's getting there.
Speaking of, I was thinking about this the other day. What if the metaverse, right? This whole thing with the metaverse and everybody pushing, like, you and I have talked about how, like, our grandkids or whatever may be, like, they're going to have, like, in the news, it'll be like land disputes over digital property and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
What if the metaverse is all planned by the global elites to get you to forego having actual physical properties because they want to buy it all up, and you're going to live in a little hovel, but you may have a huge mansion within the metaverse.
Once you plug in.
And everybody will be content because they're in the metaverse, and they're like, well, look at what I have in the metaverse. And they're like, well, what do you have in real life? Nothing. But look what I have in the metaverse.
I don't know if that's so much a conspiracy theory or as an inevitability. I think that, dude, that's a good one to start on, and that's fucking straight from the brain of Hans there. Look, it's already happening. The metaverse is going to be the biggest. It's going to be the place to be. It is the fucking. What is that shit called in Ready Player One? The Onyx?
The Oasis.
The Oasis? It is the Oasis.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg saw that movie or read that book and knew exactly what he's not an idiot. He's one of the richest men in the world. But he's like fucking evil. That's what everyone says he is. But I mean, he's just a dude making money. I don't know. But of course that's going to happen, man. Of course it's going to happen. And if you're too old, you're a Uber boomer or whatever, you're going to be left behind. Oh, you fucking piece of shit. You own fucking 40 acres, huh? Yeah, well, I own fucking half of North America.
In the metaverse.
In the metaverse, bro.
I've got the stadium. I hold concerts all the time.
I fucking hold concerts. I have Pokemon tournaments in my fucking stadium. I'm the fucking champion of that stadium, by the way. And I'm coming for your shit.
Well, and what's going to happen? Like, I mean, so when you think about that, right? Like, and Cyberpunk had it, and it was funny. Like, I mean, It cracked me up because I'm like, that's totally going to happen. It was like the old folks' retirement home where they basically put you in a capsule, they put you in VR, and you got to relive the golden years.
That's
or whatever,
it. Yeah.
You know?
That's it.
You can remember at the time when the world was like it was when you was a kid.
And so that's a thing going on, sort of the Matrix-esque sort of theory. Or conspiracy, is that we literally are a simulation. Whoever's controlling it, we don't know, but we're literally a simulation. And you can go down a rabbit's hole, no pun intended, with the Matrix, like crazy.
Did I ever tell you about the time
Oh,
Thrower came over to the house, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, simulation theory. He's like, I got this awesome documentary on it. Did I tell you about this?
I don't think so.
So he came over and we were like watching it, and maybe we did something that was just like, yeah, we're gonna watch this.
Sure.
And we started watching it, and it was all about simulation theory. It was talking about like the Matrix and stuff like that, and like, what if our reality is just a simulation, and what were the kind of the talking points. They'd start bringing up physicists and stuff like that, and I was like, man, this is getting really cool. And then it started just plugging little like dark things in there about the shootings, stuff like that. And I was like, where's this going? It turns out it was like this whole thing warning against the dangers of simulation theory because this dude shot his parents. And like it goes through, like they're plugging in like the whole time, like he'll put in like little excerpts from the guy he ended up being held on trial and stuff like that. And
jeez,
he shot his mom in the chest with a shotgun, and she survived like for a second until he shot her again.
Damn.
And she's like, what have you done? She had, I'm sure, like it was nasty, bleeding out her chest and everything.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, dude, this is really cool until like it became this basically Columbine thing again. And it harshed my buzz.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure.
To say the least.
Yeah. And look, with anything, you're going to have extremism. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of who we are as people. We always want to push envelope, and even that includes crazy people.
Yeah.
You know, there's just crazy people. And then there's people who have the ability to be overboard in things. And, you know, if someone thinks that they're the Joker from Batman, you know, regardless if it's real or not, well, it just became real. So if you think you're in a simulation and if you're doing things, regardless if this is an actual simulation, it's still real.
It's our reality, right? So I mean, the consequences are.
And what is reality? It's our perception.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What is our perception? Who the fuck knows what our perception is? Our eyes only see certain things. Our brain makes up half the things that we see by memory. So when we're looking at things, we're assuming we're looking at a black shirt. When, let's say someone wears a black shirt every day of their life, and then all of a sudden they show up with a white shirt. I don't know. Your brain is probably going to say, well, that's a white shirt. But it may, for a second, trick you and think that there's supposed to be a black shirt there because your brain... What's it called when your computer does it? Buffering, or whenever it fucking predicts the future?
Yeah, it's just like it's trying to offload computation, right?
Sure.
Basically, in a way, so it's gonna make assumptions to be able to speed up processing.
Right, processing. Yeah, speed up your processing, which is what computers do now to make them so fast. Is they predict what you're going to do based upon what you've done or based upon what the program.
Things you're going to do, like and that's why solid state drives are a prime example.
Yeah.
Whenever you get like a hybrid computer drive, like it knows, okay, well, he's loaded this the past 10 times every time he's turned us on, so we're just going to keep that in that solid state drive kind of preloaded, so it's quicker to load,
like a preload. Like it's already in there. Yeah,
and then you could totally fuck it off by loading something else. But like going back to your story about the shirt, I guarantee in your memory bank, even if you wore that white shirt one time, you may not even notice, or you may notice, but as it goes back into your memory banks and you recall that memory later on, it's going to be a black shirt again.
Yeah, you remember it as black.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why testimony, that this is, everyone's said this, any TV show that you watch that was about crime is going to say this, but that's why testimony is the worst form of fucking evidence that you can possibly have, because everybody remembers things differently based upon their experiences and what their brain is used to. I've said this a long time ago in one of the casts that we had, but it's the same thing with the ships. When people started showing up on certain places, we'll say North America, first time a ship ever showed up there, and whatever natives that were around saw the ship, there was a prediction, or there's a theory that, did they see the ships?
Could they even recognize them? Yeah.
Because that's something that their brain has never comprehended before. But it has at a smaller scale, because they've made canoes and boats to navigate rivers and deltas and shit like that. So they had an idea of what a boat is, but something that massive and that crazy, would they have been able to see it? And I think it's been proven one way or the other. I don't know. I want to get into it. It's just kind of a side anecdote for what we were kind of mentioning there. But dude, I don't know. It's absurd that if you think about a computer and all the things it can do and how it's structured and what it needs to run and the abilities for it's not a parallel, but it's pretty goddamn close to what the human brain does to your body. It runs on electricity. Contrary to a lot of people's beliefs on whatever you want to talk about, we're electric beings. We only run on electricity. That's what fires our brain, is electricity. We create the electricity within us. Hence why we have charges built up in us. So that's a static is a thing. So, we can absorb electricity and then we can shoot it out with us. That's what a static shock is. But we have a processor. We have a brain.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, we are definitely biological computers, basically.
So what's the difference? This is like, okay, we're getting off topic a little bit, but what about AI? So let's get we've talked about this. But now let's get into it a little bit now. In 2022, ladies and gentlemen, or probably lady and gentleman, but the two people,
or she, he,
she, they, them, their binary, whatever. AI.
What if there's an AI in the future that goes back through and listens to these episodes?
I know, weird, right? Like, what happens? Like, can the AI contemplate the actuality of past and present and foreshadowing and all that? You know what I mean?
You know what you should do? What I want you to do is turn on Discord while we're recording this. And let's see if this is just a little spooky kind of thing for us to try, right?
Should have had it up already.
Turn on the Discord and let's see if in the future, if AI ever goes back and listens to any of these episodes, they can go through and drop a message in the Discord while we're talking.
Oh, God damn it. This might take a while.
Uh-oh.
We can talk while I'm doing this.
So, I mean, there's a lot within... No, tell me where you were going with AI before I go off on a rant.
No, I was just saying, because Elon was talking about this, about AI and about putting robots in people's houses. And he says it's an inevitability and it's going to be a reality and it's going to be a staple of how we live. To the point where our AI is going to make money for us to live. We won't even be working anymore. We will just be being whatever we're doing, progressing through whatever we call. But the point is what is going to be the difference between a consciousness of an artificial intelligence versus a consciousness of us, who, if you think about it, are artificial intelligences, depending on your beliefs. Could be artificial intelligence created by an ultimate creator. And so we are a manifestation of someone else. An AI is a manifestation
of
us. But in the long and short of it is, what is going to be the difference? When is
hardware
killing?
That's the difference.
But yeah, sure. But when it becomes sustainable for something to live by itself, because we can't live without being fueled. Like, just because we don't plug into a wall, we still get our electrolytes.
No.
Everything from eating. So, but what I'm trying to say real quick is, when does it become like murder to kill or not allow something to thrive, to grow? When and is that consciousness of an AI? You know what I mean?
You
kind of get what I'm
about, like the sentience of it. At what point is it? I mean, because it's you look at, and so first thing, jump back. I was going to say, when I say hardware, I mean our hardware is a wetware kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Their hardware is going to be a little bit more silicone, those types of things.
Sure.
So it's still, to me, it's the same thing. Hardware is the differentiation depending on the type of hardware, but it's still hardware. We have an array of sensors and stuff like that we use that are just biological. When you look at something that is completely silicone-based, right, and there's some sort of neural network that's working to create a brain and consciousness, whatever that may or may not be. We don't know if consciousness would be naturally occurring.
Yeah.
We don't know if it would be coming from some sort of fake belief in the way that it's set up. But I would be I would think that consciousness, I mean, because at what point, when the machine starts to make the machines itself?
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to think the logical progress, right? And this is one of the things, like whenever we talk about like UFOs and stuff like that, we're so close to the point where even if we do go out in space and we are exploring, we're so close to the point that we may do it virtually anyways. Like, why would you want to send somebody that's not going to survive because our bodies are not meant for long trips?
Sure. You
would probably want to find a way to put your body in, or at least your consciousness into a synthetic organism that can survive longer.
Right.
So why would aliens be biological?
Now that's interesting. Yeah.
Going along that thought process, right? Like, you're not going to have a flesh and blood alien. There's a lot of theories that, like, even the Greys are probably more biomechanical. Mm-hmm. And then at what point too? Like, at what point does the biological or the synthetic organism, once it gains consciousness and stuff like that, does it start to wonder, well, what if I can create something biological that's an extension of me?
Right.
It's like a circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings up a point to aliens and AI. And and time travel and all this. So aliens could be a form of interdimensional travel based upon a civilization that has been able to use, I don't know if you want to call it whatever. We obviously, if we knew, we would know how to travel interdimensionally or travel long distances, without the speed of light type shit, bending time and whatever. That could be part of what that is, what aliens are. What we perceive to be aliens could simply just be us in the future with the ability to do things such as technologically send avatars back, using interdimensional travel, or literally going so fast that they can go back in time, because clearly that's a thing. If you can go faster than the speed of light, then you will then exceed time, because time only goes as fast as light as far as we can see. So if you can go faster than the speed of light, you will then start to reverse time. You'll start to go back in time and potentially go back to the beginning of things, so to speak. So I don't know. I mean, it could be something. I'm kind of losing my steam because I want to get off something real quick about what you said in Discord before I forget. What do you want me to put in there?
No, so well, basically what I wanted to do was just, if there's ever if at some point in the future, let's just put it this way, let's set up a scenario, let's do a thought experiment, right? Some point in the future, these podcasts, I'm not going to say they're going to exist forever, because who knows if we get shut down on another server or whatever, but let's say that there's some sort of an archive at some point in the future. Maybe it's 100 years from now. Maybe it's 100,000 years from now.
Sure.
What we're doing now, we're recording these episodes. Mm-hmm. If something out there in the future listens to this and happens to listen to this episode, if they have some way to interact and kind of mess with not necessarily our reality, but maybe within the digital realm.
Yeah.
Maybe they could just leave us a message on the Discord right now while we're chatting.
Yeah.
Let something pop up. Just send us a little message. Let us know in the future that you've been listening to us.
Yeah, we're Eclectic Podcast. And they wouldn't be able to get in because they haven't, request a fucking invite then.
Well, yeah, but don't we have an open channel where they could just go post stuff?
You still have to be invited to the server.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could open it up, but that's not something I really want to do. Because if I do, potentially we could get a fucking message from the future, but more than likely we're gonna get a bunch of bots and fucking sending things to click on, links of vaginas and whatnot.
It would be the bots that are messaging us from the future.
Is that the thing?
Straight up though, the funny thing would be if we opened it up for this episode or whatever, if it is a bot that says, "Hey, I'm from the future." That'd be some shit. That
would be cool. Is if you could. I can open it up for just a second. We can kind of fucking see.
So time date it. What time is it right now? We got to give them coordinates.
It is. It is 1957 hours on January 28th, 2022, and that is what type of calendar? Gregorian calendar. Yeah, and we are in the that time zone is Mountain Standard Time, and assuming that means anything for future people. But yeah, that's our. I can't really go any further than that.
No, and I think that should be enough coordinates, stardate type coordinates to be able to pull something up. I'm assuming if you have that ability in the future and you are listening to this episode.
Okay, we are not in a private channel. We are off of the private channel. We've been off, so you can still get into that.
Basically just open up the chat. We don't want them talking to us.
No.
Because God only knows what will come out that.
No, hell no. So we're good. If anything then it just type it into the show chat one. You're available.
Yeah, you are complete. We are open to any messages you may want to deliver to us. So yeah, we'll go with that. And I kind of wanted to leave it at that, and we'll kind of leave that up, and then we can continue on with our other stuff.
Yeah. So what I had planned was something very small, but I thought it would be kind of neat. So I do have a couple of sites pulled up. One of them, that's not a top 10, but it's got 13 biggest conspiracy theories from Live Science.
Okay.
or live science, I guess. I don't really fucking know. Whatever. Same shit.
Live, live.
Same shit.
It's your preference.
Yeah. Whatever. Potato, tomato, penis, whatever. So, I mean, penis, P-nice. They say that.
P-nice.
That'd be my rapper name. Well, my name is P-nice, son.
P-nice.
P-nice up in this bitch. I don't know why I sound like that as a rapper, but... and then I also have the Mysterious Universe pulled up, and I'll be forewarned about this Mysterious Universe shit that we'll talk about. I'm not saying that any of this shit has any merit whatsoever. I'm just simply gonna, go over it with my buddy, and we're gonna talk about it because it's interesting, regardless of opinions or basis in fact. We will try to break down some of that shit. So I will start with that one. Do you want to start with that one? Or do you want to start with go down the list of the 13 and just kind of briefly talk about the shit, and then we can end with that or whatever?
So how long is this other one? What did you call it again?
It's just the. What do you mean? Biggest.
What did you call this website or what this?
Oh, the live live science is this the 13 biggest conspiracies?
Yeah, no, not the live live.
The mysteriousuniverse.org.
Yeah, if it's not too terribly long, let's go through this one first because I guarantee that 13 we could probably go into some depth on some of those.
Yeah, well, it's pretty fun. So you've got immediately as you come in, it's got UFO researchers and witnesses, the mysterious phone call phenomenon.
Oh shit, that's kind of topical to what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, and so obviously if you look at it, you got the Men in Black thrown right in here. I mean, just blatant. Like, look, read my book. It's totally good, I promise. And this is Nick Redfern. I think this is actually his website. I don't know if it's a for-profit. There are ads on here, so I'm assuming it's a free website that he put out.
Yeah, he probably is trying to make some money.
Yeah, and good on him. Good on him. He hates Elon. Every time I read anything about it earlier, he was just like throwing jabs at Elon constantly.
Does he hate Elon or is he jealous of Elon?
Oh, he fucking loves Elon. I guarantee you.
Because I personally my wife thinks I've got a raging hard-on for Elon. But in all actuality, it's not that. What it is I wish I had that kind of money that Elon's has, so I could just be like, I want to try and do this.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We're going to make this happen. I'm going to put a computer chip in your brain. What? What are you talking about? I've got the money. We're going to do it. Okay.
Oh, and he fucking wants to. Hardcore, too.
Well, and so he's gone on the record of saying, I think it was on... I'm not going to say, but it was the Joe Rogan podcast. Ooh. He went on the record and said that the chances that he's going through, that we're going through some sort of a simulation right now, like currently, right now, it's kind of hard to say, but as soon as the microchips start going into people's heads, he said that increases like exponentially.
That we are, in fact, in a simulation.
Well, because at that point, once that chip is in your head, and they know that it works, all bets are off. We don't know.
100%.
We don't know at that point whether or not we're interacting with the real now, or if it's something from.
Sure. Yeah. Dude.
If it's a memory.
I'm all for. Believe me, I'm really all for fucking chipping people and like turn them into whatever, because like you can literally end things. You can end. Once you get to that point, like you can start to end fucking depression. You can start to end all kinds of shit. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is you're just going to be a fucking a mouse on a wheel, and every once in a while you're going to reach over and fucking hit that button and buy that thing that you need.
Well, it becomes scary, dude. Because at what point? I mean. You talk about the hacks and all that stuff that go on now. Mm-hmm. At what point is it that can you trust your own desires and wants, right?
Oh, sure.
Like we're very much creatures of habit as it is now.
100%, yeah.
I mean, and when you get a chip in there that like can be like, oh, I see this pattern emerging.
Mm-hmm.
We can trigger. And how do you know when your thought was your own or if it's something coming from?
Well, it's like it's almost not your thought right now.
Yeah,
algorithms on your fucking favorite social site. YouTube is the biggest thing in the world. So you only see things that the algorithm wants you to see, and each individual person can search on Google the same thing and get different reactions based upon their previous searches. So you have that in your head, You want to talk about discourse? You want to talk about people not listening to anybody? Right now, no one listens to a fucking thing anybody else has to say because they're wrong, no matter what the fuck level of education or facts or science based upon anything. If you don't believe what I believe and what my fucking YouTube and Twitter feed tell me, if you're fucking wrong and I don't want to hear it, and you're shut the fuck up. You're
a fucking ignorant devil spawn.
Yes.
Hillbilly dumbass.
It's always hillbilly. Because they're dumb, but it's so weird. And I was being silly because hillbillies is a stupid term and it should be fucking stricken unless you're talking about legit people in hills. Because them motherfuckers in Virginia, bro, drinking Mountain Dew still probably. I don't know. Mountain Dew mouth.
Little shine.
A fucking little Mountain Dew, little mud mouth.
How long is it till people get rickrolled? From the chip.
Oh my God, dude. Can you imagine?
You just be walking by like something and all of a sudden, never going to give you up.
Dude, it's the fucking ultimate thing for high school, right?
Oh my God.
You fucking, you share your shit with your buddy, your fucking significant other.
At that point, dude, I mean, superpowers start to exist, right? Like, I mean, you can actually
100%
communicate directly without having to have
100%. It's telepathy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Is it though? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it's something added to us. So it can't be from us. But what if it is you? And
so I mean, whenever you think about that, it was ESP was extrasensory perception, right? Mm-hmm. That's an extrasensory piece.
100%. How long until the body starts evolving?
Well, so here's a crazy
and
thing,
then kids are born with shit they shouldn't have.
I don't know if you heard this or not. This in the past, like, so as a kid, right? Mm-hmm. I know we haven't even started talking about
it. Fine. We'll get to it.
As a kid, like, one of the things I wanted to do, like, my life dream was I wanted to go into cybernetics.
Okay.
Probably because of the fucking Terminator, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
But, like, I really wanted to be able to meld man and machine, like, in some way, like, whether it's replacement arms, legs, eyes, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Now, however, I've seen some documentaries, because I watch a lot of the tubes, right?
Sure.
Saw some documentaries, and the researchers that have done anything like where they were putting in electronics into people's bodies, mm-hmm. like silicone and stuff like that, they were amazed at how quickly the body would adapt to it.
Adapt to what was in them?
Yeah, like, cause, like if we try and, like, if you give me your finger or whatever, right? I have to take drugs that'll tell my body that this is okay, it's okay for it to be here.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about that shit with electronics.
No, it just automatically,
the body's
easier
just
integration.
Absorbs it, which tells you something. That's kind of freaky.
I mean, we already have a processor,
mm-hmm.
and it's electric,
mm-hmm.
and that's how you remember anything or anything happens is the fucking electricity snaps.
Calls up a chemical record of whatever, and then brings it forward.
That's all it is. So having a secondary fucking processor in there, I guess that is so fucking terrifying, but at the same time, so cool.
No, it's like, I mean, at the same time, Elon talked about this a lot too, and like I said, I've got a hard on for Elon, but I don't have a hard on for Elon. Like, there's things that he does that I would love to do because he's got the money and he's just like, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I love that. He said, and we've probably talked about this before on the podcast too. At some point, I mean, because we're supposed to get our first tests of the chips this year, like they're going to do some human experiments.
Okay.
Obviously, the first things that are going to happen are going to be for the paralyzed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Allow them to regain motion, those types of things. Probably shortly after, eventually, like, you're going to probably start to integrate it. Basically, it's going to be like a smartphone integrated into your head.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing a job and you need to calculate something, you'll be able to just calculate stuff like that. Right.
You pull it right up.
And anything you want to find out, you'll be able to pull up in your brain right away, right? So there's no reason, number one, it's going to be kind of really interesting to see what happens within, like, specialized fields, because you'll be able to pull any information you need at any time. And then he also said that it would be stupid. He said you would not be able to compete in a job market,
right,
unless you do it. You'll almost have to do it if you want to be competitive.
But then that begs the question of, how does that competition arise? Like, what is the point of it if everyone can do it? Then how do you have that competition?
There may be, now, all men are created equal, and women, sure, right? there's obviously aptitudes that are different for different things. So
Sure.
I'm guessing even with a chip, you can enhance certain things to a certain point, but being able to best way that I can think of this is to parse out the information in ways that are meaningful and useful to you.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably going to be people that are better at that than others.
Sure, I get
so
that.
to have the competitive edge, you have to have the chip, but then there's still going to be the people that can parse the information faster or quicker than others, or know how to.
Yeah, that's going to be
It'll be weird.
That would be a very different thing, because everyone's brain power, like if you don't have enough water, you're not going to be able to process faster. You don't have enough electrolytes to fuck. See, this is my issue with that is if you put 10 people in a room and each of them get a chip and they're all in the same chip and they're like, okay, well now you guys have to teach this math course. And you don't know anything about math, but you do now. Cool, we just uploaded all that shit into you, so now you know everything there is to know about math. So then why do it in the first place?
Why do the chip?
Yeah, why worry about any of that then? If you can just upload.
And I guess I'm not talking about this, and I could be completely off base. Like
it's good to talk about.
But what I mean by that is, you take let's take Job, Lawnmower Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't the sharpest
No.
tool in the shed whenever he started the experiments, right?
Yeah.
And once he got his powers, right, basically that he was able to get through the interwebs, through the metaverse, he became really pretty all powerful, right?
I mean, he was God there.
Yeah. So, and then if you take somebody that already is, like, you take Albert Einstein, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you give him a chip. You take somebody, and Job may be a bad example, but I mean, you take somebody that's from a sped class within a school.
Yeah.
You give them a chip, and then you take, like, Einstein, give him a chip. Who will better be able to utilize the technology?
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
we all have fingers. We can play video games, but some people are much better at video games than I am.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and also things deteriorate as you get older. So what you're going to do is if you're looking for a company, it's going to be filled with a fucking shitload of 20-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the peak of fucking brain snapping.
Well,
man.
and then that's the other thing, right? Like, I mean, when you get kids and they're like, okay, well, we got to chip them. So immediately when they're born, they plug that shit into their brain. So
you start creating
from get-go, they know exactly how to use that fucking thing.
And by the time they're fucking 30, them and their peers who got the chip together, then you'll have the separation. I get that. Yeah, I get that now. Because then you'll have, I was able to use this better, or I'm a lazy piece of shit and I really only know how to fucking navigate this porn site. Because let's be honest, 90% of what's going to happen with the chip is just going to be virtual porn in your head.
Well, and that's a very good possibility.
It's what drives this world. Everything comes from porn. Everything online, all the technology comes from porn. It is the reason that technology exists on the computer. All these innovations and VRs and chats and fucking all that shit is fucking started with porn. Porn drives the fucking technology in the internet.
Yeah.
It is the single biggest thing in the world on the internet. Porn runs the fucking internet. So if porn adapts it, the shit's fucking mainstream hitting. It's like VR porn. Yeah, as soon as that, it's here now. But as soon as that becomes like extremely good, and it probably, if you have like the best Oculus with the Beast system, I'm sure right now you could put on your fucking gloves and your machine, because they have machines that do things that are what on the screen for you. Like, it's already there, but that innovation is not being done anywhere else. It's fucking being done in porn. So as soon as that shit becomes perfected, then you're going to start to see this application in other presets or in other places, in work applications where we talked about this, where we put our fucking gloves on and now we're working, but we're not there. We're at home, but we're in the factory, and the factory is moving. The machine is moving because we're doing it with our hands, with our virtual. We don't even have goggles at this point. It's all in our eyes. We all see it as an overlay, I would assume, right? That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So you're building cars. You're building cars and shit at home.
And what if they can do a time lapse thing where the perception of the robot is so fast, but they're able to slow it down for the human mind to be able to interact with, to where you actually can, even though you're just going like this, that robot's just
just super speed. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's fucking insane, man. But the shit's coming to some extent. It's just going to be really weird.
Dude, we've gone way off topic.
I'm just thinking of monetization of all this shit.
Go into your thing here. What do we got on this?
Nothing crazy. And again, this is January 28th. So this is like fucking today, again, nothing yet on our Discord, but maybe, it's time.
We're waiting, man. Maybe it takes them a little, maybe they're not, maybe they've got maybe they're not so exact whenever they navigate the future of the internet of the past.
Could be.
Maybe.
That's the line we're going with. So I don't want to read this verbatim, but now and again, we all get weird phone calls. They're usually just wrong numbers, or on some occasions, though, things are very different, particularly so in the world of UFOlogy. Is that a thing?
UFOlogy?
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's a thing.
Okay, so this guy's making up words.
They call it ufology usually.
Yeah, I like that better. Sorry. There seems to be more such cases of strange calls as I'll share with you now.
Ooh. I've gotten phone calls from myself.
Have you?
Yeah. Like, have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Like you'll
where my name's in there.
Pop up? Yeah.
But it's.
I usually figure it's a fuck up thing of some type.
Me too, but it'll say like Bill Page instead of what my phone knows me as is my middle name. So as Dylan. So it's like, why the fuck is, why am I getting call from my proper name? Like very weird shit. But because on my phone calls, my name should pop up as Dylan. But if you're on T-Mobile or whatever, same network. Long story, I don't know. But this guy talks about a prominent UFO researcher and author that I'm not going to go into as the MIB lady. She's known as the MIB lady. Okay.
Who is it?
Claudia Cunningham.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, by Tim Beckley is apparently an author and researcher. I don't know that name, but that's whatever. Long story short, Claudia experienced something else that many researchers of and witnessed to the Men in Black experience at least once in their lives. So they're assuming that we all did that, but I don't know. Now that I'm reading this, I kind of don't care. Like it's just really long. I'm trying to get the gist of it. I didn't do any foreshadowing or anything, but on a night, this is Claudia. One night I was in bed reading the book, and I snapped on the AM radio on my night table, as one does. Turns on the AM radio at night, no problem.
When I want to hear freaky stuff, I listen to the AM radio.
Right,
Coast to Coast used to always be on there.
Yeah. Coast to Coast was so dope. WGY's talk show, and they were interviewing UFO abductee. So I don't know what WGY is, but we're going to assume it's a Coast to Coast S type show. After seeing UFO with her husband Bart, this is a whole bunch of bullshit that I don't really care about. I thought it was going to be easier. Maybe we'll just go on to the 13 because this is annoying.
We'll get to the final synopsis. What do they say about phone calls?
It doesn't. That's the problem. Okay, here we go. May 23rd. As Denise explained, she was jolted from her sleep by the sight of a young boy looming over her bed. This was no normal boy, however. It was one of the dreaded black-eyed children.
Oh, now I've heard about them.
Yeah. Pale-skinned, black hoodie wearing kids who were noted for their completely black eyes. Denise tried to scream out, but her vocal cords were paralyzed, as was her entire body. The eerie boy stared at the terrified Denise for a few moments, then retreated into the shadows of the room and vanished. It was the nerve-jangling experience that Denise has not forgotten, nor has she forgotten a strange wave of hang-up phone calls that occurred across the next 3 nights, all around 3 a.m. I got chills just now. All around 3 a.m., a connection. Denise believed so, as I did.
That's freaky shit, man.
So for the next 3 nights after that experience, she was getting robocalls at the exact same time that she woke up.
So here's some craziness. Right?
She says this. I have fucking no clue.
Well, so
And this is the thing. People said same sort of thing.
There's the. Have you ever seen? It's on Amazon Prime Videos. There's the Hat Man. The stories of the Hat Man.
You mean the Scat Man? Skip it.
Yeah. No, this is the Hat Man. Like, okay. So here's the crazy thing, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Hat Man.
I'm the Hat Man.
But it's usually like it's kind of similar to the Black-Eyed Children kind of thing.
Okay.
A lot of people usually compare it to like the sleep paralysis, like the succubus or the incubi.
Right. Yeah.
Those types of things, or it's the Black-Eyed Children where you get these visitors or you see these things within your home.
Right.
My wife actually sees a lot of shadow people in our house. And I've seen shadow people before too. I had one that kind of lived below my stairs when I lived with Nick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember that place.
Yeah. So whenever, at one point, Eric moved into the apartment that I was in. Mm-hmm. Eric Vanicount.
Yeah.
Moved into the apartment that I was in, and he actually had the thing stayed there, and then he ended up picking up a ghost in Texas. I know I just sound so crazy right now. He ended up picking up a ghost in Texas, kind of hitchhiked with him, right?
Okay.
Came back, and that ghost would start to interact with I call it a watcher, right?
Okay.
This shadowy figure that lived beneath the stairs that was always kind of there. I always called it a watcher, but anyways, it would start. He said that it was starting to talk. The ghost was starting to talk to the watcher.
Okay.
Because the watcher never really said anything. He just watched. The ghost started to talk to the watcher. And so we were talking about this one night at his house, and all of a sudden, I start to hear like talking.
Okay.
Like I start hearing hello, hello. It sounds like I figured it was coming from my phone.
Sure.
So that I misdialed somebody.
Yeah.
Eric and Betty were just hearing it too. And then I was just like, I pulled up my phone and was like, I thought I butt dialed somebody or something like that. And they're like, well, no, we think it's that little girl, that ghost girl that came with us. And then you start to hear this music box playing in the corner of the room.
That's fun.
Like the little ballerina thing.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun
Anyways,
time.
no, my wife sees a lot of shadow people. I've seen shadow people, and she sees them currently in the house now. Usually, it's never ominous or anything like that, but she'll just catch something like up in the corners or outside the window.
Sure.
But anyways, there's a long story. There's a lot of if you ever get a chance, I've never watched this documentary because it kind of freaks me out, and
okay.
I need to watch it. I really want to watch it. My friend Scott Thompson, his mom actually saw the Hat Man repeatedly in her home.
No shit.
Yeah. So I would kind of like to see that documentary kind of all the way through. I started to watch it and it creeps me out too.
I had to be careful with that shit.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about let's bring this around a bit. We're talking about simulation. I think a lot of things, and this is the basis of nothing. I have no fucking scientific evidence on this. I'm just talking out my ass. But I think a lot of different things that happen can be contributed to manifestation. Uh-huh. So if I'm constantly thinking about something, constantly talking about something, constantly researching about something, constantly worrying or stressing about something, it tends to manifest itself in certain ways. So if I'm constantly worried about UFOs, or if I'm constantly worried about something in my house and I'm giving it credence, if I'm giving it the due respect that it's actually there and that I'm afraid or I'm curious or I'm, disassociated with, or whatever the case may be, I think you're projecting that and you're bringing that into fruition. You're bringing that to the forefront. You're bringing it more so to the point where now you're seeing more things or you're hearing more things that may not be actually there, or maybe there that can be corroborated by other people. I'm not 100% sure. But again, being able to create something from nothing but a thought, which has weight, that's been proven, because everything has weight. Well, thought is a neuron, electron, whatever the case, whatever the fuck. But now you're presenting it out in the world. You're projecting whether it's insecurities, we can go that route. Whether it's insecurities, it's stress, or it's anger, it's sadness. You can project that, and then people can perceive that. So if I'm extremely angry and I haven't said a word to you, and you walk into my house, there's a good chance within the first 10 seconds of you coming into my house, you're going to be like, "Oh, shit's real in here right now."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you'll be able to feed off that energy.
Yeah, so you're projecting that energy, but now. Again, we can come back to this, but I just thought it was like a cool little tie-in because, what can you do in simulations is you can project things and create things and move things around and mold things, and it may not be exactly the same. You may not be able to create Angelina Jolie in front of you. Maybe you could. It'd be pretty cool. You may think you can, and in which case you may have issues, and that's fine because now you're having good issues because that's fun. But you could also create demons that are there in front of you. And then you have schizophrenia and this whole fucking thing of where they know it's a mind issue that can be tricked with drugs to stop you from being these other people or seeing these things. So a blocker or, of fucking, some sort of program to stop the pop-ups or whatever that case meant. So I kind of agree with that. And we had a thing here in my house not too long ago where someone was talking to me. Mm-hmm. And it unsettled me so much so that like I did the things that I wanted to do. I brought people over to fucking witness and to not really an exorcism, but I brought someone over who has dealt with things like that before, and we did things to stop that from happening. Hasn't happened since. Yeah. Not even felt creepy. Nothing, But again, that could be the power of suggestion. It could be in my head, or it could be in the physical, or both. Because I believe, like, if they say, "Oh, you have to burn sage," well, if you don't truly believe that that's going to work, I don't know that's going to work. Yeah. Like, you have to pray over it. Well, if you truly don't really believe in the prayer, it's fucking bullshit. You might as well just fucking jerk off in the corner. It's the same shit.
My semen will clean the house. But you know what's interesting, though? Clean. So much of this goes back to... because we a long time ago, talking about classic episodes, right? Mm-hmm. We did talk about with the Slender Man thing, right?
Sure.
Like how often because I think there was an experiment that took place in Italy that we had brought up or that we researched when we did that episode, where they actually did, they got enough people believing in this fake ghost, and they were able to get it to materialize in some way. Not necessarily materialize, but they were able to get hauntings from this fake ghost to become a thing.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to your thoughts have power. Mm-hmm. You feed it energy. And I don't know if it's a symbiosis. I don't know if it's possibly something where there may be something right within that realm or right beyond the veil of what we can perceive.
Yeah.
That can sense that energy and feeds off that energy and will do whatever it can to get more of that energy. Mm-hmm. So if it can reinforce it in some way, whether it's you doing it or not, whether it's your perception that's kind of making it happen, or if it's kind of a symbiosis where this, I almost want to just call it a leech, right?
Sure.
Is just on the other side of the veil and is just waiting for it to be able to feed off something.
Yeah, so it can attach itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not sure where that lies. I don't know if it's something that's just purely created from within the brain itself, or is able to get energy from the brain, or if there's some sort of reciprocal thing where it is something just on the other side.
It's interesting, though.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like what about an experiment? Let's say you believe or don't believe for the purposes of this experiment. We'll say that the person who's telling these people doesn't tell them that they're a believer or not believer of what they're about to tell them. Mm-hmm. So it could be false. It may not be false. But they say inside my house, this is what happens. Fill in the blanks. Say some shit. A man with hat. We'll say hat man. We'll say whatever the fuck. Say whatever the fuck. And I see it nightly. From fucking 11:30 at night to, we'll say, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's inevitable. I'll see it. But only when it's dark and only when I'm laying down in this room. Mm-hmm. Take 10 people, tell them that story, give them the information that I just gave, but be in detail of what you see. Put them in that room between 11 and 1 o'clock.
How many of them are going to see it?
How many are going to see it? And my guess is the people that want to see it are going to fucking see it.
Yeah.
The people that don't want to see it and they're skeptical, they're going to go out of their way to not see it because you program yourself to not fucking look for it.
Yeah.
Now, is that because it was suggestive and now you're seeing in the slightest thing that you hear or see because all you're doing is thinking about it and you see a shadow or you see something that kind of maybe could be a fucking something and you're like, oh, it's it. I fucking saw it because I suggested to you that you saw it, that I see it every night there and that's why you saw it. Or the person that doesn't see it, maybe it's the person that's like, oh, I don't believe in this shit. It's fucking stupid. What are you doing in here? They weren't see it in the first place. That's why kids, if you think about kids and what they see and what we can't see, I personally have experiences with that because I had an imaginary friend. And that imaginary friend was real as fucking, then I can't explain to you how real this thing was. 100% real. But, or was it? You know what I mean? Who knows? But the actions, look, things happened that I didn't do that happened in real life. Did my mind shut off and did I do those things? Did I have an episode? And then when I was done with it, my mind turned back on and I told myself that something else did it because of whatever. Because shit would happen all the fucking time where I was told to fucking break things or do things. And I was like, no, I'm not going to fucking do it. I get in trouble, that type of shit. Or like my favorite toys. I was told like break my favorite toys and shit. I wouldn't do it, but they would fucking break.
Really?
Yeah. And my mom would be freaking out. And I kept telling mom it was not me. I did not break these toys. I said Scrisby was the name of the entity or whatever it was. I kept telling her it wasn't me.
Have you ever looked up Scrisby? Mm-mm. Just to see if if there was anything, any lore, any demonology or anything
I have not.
behind a Scrisby?
I actually, that's a good idea. Maybe we should try that and report back.
So the reason why I'm curious about that is because
I'll never forget that fucking name, though.
As a kid, right? I mean, can you explain what it looked like and everything?
No. That's the thing. It didn't look like anything. It looked like nothing. It could have looked like you, for all I know. But as far as what I remember back in my head, nothing was there. There was literally, all I can remember, and it's shoddy. Again, it's recollection, and it's my account. But all I can remember, that I would talk to him. Definitely a dude. I don't know how old, but I never saw anything. I never saw a single thing. Never saw, but did I see things and I just don't remember that I saw things. You know what I mean? In that house where this bulk of this shit went on, some fucked up shit happened in that house. My sister Misty can attest to some weird ass shit going on. Like some fucking crazy ass shit. Like I woke up in the middle of the night and peed in her bedroom. Like I walked up and then just peed in her bedroom. And everyone thought I was sleepwalking. And I wasn't. Or maybe I was and I didn't know. But I was told to go pee in my sister's room. That's an actual thing that my sister can attest to because it was right beside of her bed. I just started peeing. I was young. But I wasn't that young. Dude, it was probably like fucking 7.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why the reason why I asked that too is I'm kind of curious because I had imaginary friends, right? When I was a kid. However,
you had a couple of the ones you think of? Maybe the same one, different?
So, I mean, here's the thing though. I knew my imaginary friends were fake.
Oh, did you?
I did. Yeah, I totally knew that. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't have, because we've talked about like some of the haunted shit, like when I was a kid and stuff like that. I think in my home, we've talked about it on the podcast. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the cast, but I know you've talked to him with me. So,
so I mean, I know that I know that part of that was imaginary for me, but that's why I think it's kind of interesting. Like, I mean, because when I think back on it, I knew that was fake. Yeah. If you think back on it and you still swear to this day that it was something real. Yeah. Then, I mean, that's a very good, I mean, because my nephew, like, and this is one of the things that I've realized with kids, my nephew, he talks about his past life a lot, or at least he did when he was really little, when he was very young, and I'm talking maybe below the age of 6. Ooh. He would talk about, like, we'd be sitting there, and I remember we were spray painting something, and he's like, I was shaking up cans and stuff like that, and I tried to strip the paint off as much as I could. He's like, "You're going to prime it first, right?" And I said, "What?" He's like, "Well, back when I used to do this, we had to prime everything first. Kids don't, like, he did not know that.
Not unless he fucking saw an ad or something on YouTube or some shit, you know what I mean?
The way he said it. I mean, but this is, I mean, pre-internet. I mean, there was still stuff out there. I mean, the internet was in existence at the time, obviously, because it hasn't been that long ago. But I mean, he's a 30-year-old man now. I mean, it's not like he was. It's not like today, right?
No, I get it. Yeah, no,
but yeah, I mean, just the way that he would just spit it out. He'd be like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, back when I used to do this, and the way he would say it. When I used to do
so matter of factly, like it was like a thing. I did this. That's nuts. And why does it happen? Because we lose the capacity to see that shit at some point?
I think that's it. I think
our brain starts to rationalize shit too much.
Yeah, I think we start to shut some of that stuff out. Right? Like when you talk
pop-up
about
blockers.
Like when you talk about the skeptics, right? Like when they're in the bed, like you could have somebody that's so skeptical that, I mean, they see. We're sitting here and we're talking, right? And this can just starts to rotate, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll be, I didn't see that.
Right, because they don't want to see it.
They don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And I think at some point, I mean, because you can't really function in society if you continue to see all those things all the time, right? Like it becomes the rare thing.
Sure. Funny thing, real quick. We're done with this one. I think we got all we needed out of that one little article. But think about this. A full circle evolution or de-evolution from how we are as kids to our open brains to learn things, to see, to take in information that's never been taken in before, to have eyes that fucking look at things through a lens that has not been through a processor that has not been cached, that doesn't have any cookies in it, that has no idea whatever, and just seeing things for the first time, being perceptive to everything that comes in as a child. That's what children do. They fucking learn by perceiving. There's no precondition outside of maybe, having a different life or something, but you see that, and then it goes away because now you're starting to get these filters of reality that you're putting in place, that culture's putting in place, that your people around you, government, your family, all these different things, your peers, all that stuff. And then you lose. And some people don't lose, and that could be part of schizophrenia. That could be responsibility. But the thing I'm getting to, which is going to tie this back around before we move on, so we've been going for a while, being integrated into a chip, a processor, in order to help proceed with things. Could that be an evolution that we have to de-evolve our fucking brain in order to get further ahead? You see what I'm saying? We have to remove the veil from what we see, and some people can achieve this through using DMT, through ayahuasca shit, through meditation.
I was going to say some people can do it through meditation. Those
pulling this veil back that we see and getting down to the essence of things. People seeing the fucking entities, like the universal entities that everyone that it's just universal. It's almost universal that people are seeing these entities that are
machine elves and all that.
Yeah, that are telling them, hey, what the fuck, and then like this weird spiritual opening that people really never fucking forget. They have these experiences, not everyone, but then you get these chips in, and you start opening up your brain to certain things, and maybe that is the future of awareness, removing the veil using integration versus using, which is part of integration. Taking drugs is you're integrating something into you're consuming, and it's releasing, and you're symbiotic. It's releasing what it has for you, and whatever, it could be dead plant, who fucking knows. But the point is, I'm just trying to sum it up a little bit, is maybe it's a de-evolution, it's an unveiling in order to evolve into the next step, or the next stage of life, the next stage of consciousness. Maybe, I don't fucking know. Maybe when that opens up, it shit's gonna start being really weird. Maybe we're like gonna start seeing UFOs like times 10, times 50. Like when the H-bomb hit, all of a sudden, fucking massive amounts of goddamn
UFOs.
UFOs. Why is that? Why is that the entire existence that we know of in our recorded history, minus the fucking Library of Alexandria, for fucking Christ's sake, of all the shit that may have been in that fucking location that we'll never know. Maybe this is explained. We don't know. But the point is like, after that happened, supernatural phenomenon started popping up like crazy, and it's just been sporadic.
Again, to me that's kind of interesting too. I mean, when we talk about that, because, and I think we've talked about this before too, where we talk about angels and demons, right? And you get very few. You still get some discussions of angels, like people seeing angels, being visited by angels.
Sure.
But it seems like after the advent of the atomic bomb, we just changed the nomenclature. Instead of being angels and demons, they became UFOs.
Sure. Tsoukalos. Where is he?
Well, and
we need him. We need the hair.
It's so nuts because I think, like, in some of my sacred textbooks that I have, right, like that just have all kinds of crazy information, esoteric type information. I mean, you go back to ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, and they have the first ghost story ever recorded was from Egypt during that time.
Yeah. Oh, the Bible clearly states that angels came down from the heavens to lay with men. Mm-hmm. The key word, men, being mankind.
Yeah, they saw the daughters of men and thought they were beautiful.
And then fucking giants popped up.
Yep.
Then you have fucking giants everywhere.
You got the Nephilim, whatever the hell those were.
We don't know. We don't know. But it's, for someone who believes in something and to have texts and to things to look at, to not believe in that at least, versus pick and choose what you want to believe, what's story, what's not story, what's fucking folklore, what's scaring people into doing whatever. The point is there's documentation from a book that came from a whole bunch of other books and a whole bunch of their fucking writings about shit. But it could have been like, yeah, if someone was bored and wrote a sci-fi novel back in the day and became a religion. Scientology. Just saying. Could be anything.
Yeah.
That shit could be real too, for all the fuck we know.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it could be just, again, it could be the way that they're perceiving it. Right?
L. Ron Hubbard's a motherfucker, dude. I don't know. That's interesting. That's a whole nother shit.
Yeah.
Man, need to wrangle it in. You want to run through this real quick?
Yes.
0 to 100? Yes.
Okay, so you have conspiracies for us to go through.
Yeah, I do. Who knows what, because I forgot what we were just talking about, so who knows how that was cut into. It could have been just say something and all of a sudden it's like, snap.
Conspiracies. Now we have conspiracies.
Yeah, we're just going to run through these real quick. They're common and, or not so common, just depending. So the 9/11 conspiracies. I don't even need to read it to know what they're talking about the planes and the explosions and what have you. I mean, it's crazy because planes did hit. But I mean, Jesse Ventura shit. But did that cause the collapse? Because then there was subsequent explosions below that looked exactly like a demo.
Mm-hmm. And then there was that Building 13 or whatever that they pulled.
Yeah.
Like, really? You guys just randomly pulled a building? The one that always drives me nuts whenever you look at that one with 9/11 was the Pentagon. Because when you look at that, when you see the pictures of the Pentagon, there was nothing that looked like an airplane hit it.
No, it didn't look like it at all.
I mean, whoever did hit it or whatever hit it was pretty fucking accurate.
Yeah.
And it just so happens the day before that there was like $13 billion missing from the government budget.
Yeah, that's strange.
And just so happens that whatever got destroyed at the Pentagon is where those numbers were held, like wherever the budgets and all that stuff was held.
I mean, there's smoke, Some shit going on. But what a perfect cover-up.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, I don't know. I there was a lot of stuff that went back with that, but yeah, I can't completely rule out the fact that I think something nefarious was definitely at play. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was. I don't know to what extent, and we may never know.
Probably will never know.
Not in our lifetime.
No, we'll talk about it here in a minute. I guarantee you about something that we'll probably never know as well. That's already been, fucking 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't need to beat that one. But 9/11 was a thing. Then the Princess Diana's murder.
That one I always felt was kind of flimsy. Like, I mean, because there's a lot of stuff that sound like maybe the royals wanted her gone.
Maybe, but at this point, they weren't that strong anyways. Still, I mean, I guess they're pretty strong in public opinion. I guess but they don't hold any power really. But Neither does the. Yeah, I don't know.
So right now, I mean, because we actually have a current case with the Royal, right? With Ghislaine Maxwell and the whole thing with the Epstein thing.
Yeah.
You've got, is it Prince Andrew or whatever the hell his name was?
I don't know.
Anyways, they just stripped him of all his royal credentials and stuff like that. You would think, like, really, if they were like so worried about the royal family being thrown through the mud and through the dirt or whatever, that he'd find himself disappeared as well.
Potentially. Or maybe he was just. Well, Diana was pretty high profile. One of the highest profile.
She
figures.
was very high profile.
Yeah.
And this guy, like, I barely know who he is.
Nah,
it seems like he would disappear and be like, "Oh, so tragic, he's dead."
Yeah, right. I don't know. That's something that's, it's not our neck of the woods really, so it's hard to think about. But the courts did rule out eventually that that the reason that she did die was because the chauffeur was drunk and paparazzi was chasing him, and so that's what happened. Even though the father of the son of the person that died with her in the car claimed it was the royal family who set it up because of all the different bullshit. But
so let's go back real quick. 9/11. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very plausible, like yes, I think that the government did it. 1 being no way. Where would you give the 9/11?
That's tough because it's extremely plausible. That's the problem. It's so very plausible.
I give it like an 8 or 9.
I was gonna go 7. So we can, if you're gonna go 8 or 9, we'll just say
I would settle and say 7 or 8. I mean, it's that far. There's so many coincidences.
Yeah, it's so much,
go in line.
and it's so plausible.
Yeah,
it's so much could happen. So we'll just go with an 8 together.
Yeah,
as a full
we'll
together.
Okay,
yeah, that works for me. Princess Diana's murder, 10. As far as plausible, 100% that could happen. Fucking royal family? Are you kidding me? They're so fucked up. The goddamn royals going back. It's always something. It's always a murder. It's always a tragedy. It's always a suicide. It's always a fucking not suicide. That too. It's always a goddamn assassination. And now it's just in public times. And now, so let's try to rephrase that. So is it? How much do I think that it happened, or how plausible is it really, though, in reality?
I want to get your, I guess, your bearings on it. Like, where will you put it at?
I'm going to say that's a 7.
See, I give that one like a 3 or a 4.
As far as is it actually happening?
Yeah.
I mean, she was a known jet setter, so she was always out doing things. The fact that the chauffeur. And that went on for I think it wasn't until 2008 that they actually finally ruled that the chauffeur was drunk.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. How many goddamn years did it take you to find out what talk screens was ever done? So there's just, to me, that's very weird. And the fact that the guy had a horse and race because fucking his father died, but the guy's son, Al Fayed, extremely rich, one of the richest men in the world, he was the one forcing this. Like, no, the shit's happened, So, like, someone with all that money saying that just gives more credence to me, because that just means, like, they may be trying to fight for it. Or, maybe there's a court battle we don't know about.
And there could be, like, I mean, I guess in that sense, like, I mean, it's very possible for sure. Like, and that's the plausibility aspect of it. Not that I don't think the Royals wouldn't do it. I wonder how much of that was just dumb fucking luck on her part,
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll drop my down to a 6.
Okay. I'm still gonna stick with. I'm gonna say 4 because
4?
I do think it's very much. I'm not saying they weren't capable of it. What I'm saying is, I think it was just.
It's probably some negligence.
Bad, wrong place, wrong time.
Sure. No, I agree with that one.
But I mean, I could be completely wrong.
Subliminal advertising.
Well, we know they did it.
There's no. Conspiracy.
I don't think that's a conspiracy.
No, that's a weird thing to put in there.
Yeah.
No, we're not even going to look at that one. The biggest of all time, moon landing hoax.
So this one's a weird one for me.
Are you a flag guy?
Well, so no.
The flag didn't move properly.
Here's my thing is I think there's a couple things that was going on, and I do think there was a little bit of
Little fuckery
going on. But I don't think
by the United States government. Come on.
I don't think it's that we didn't go to the moon, because I don't think that at all. I do think we did go to the moon.
Oh, the way you phrased that, I was like, you don't think we went to the moon?
No.
I think we got to talk.
I totally think we went to the moon. I think what it is I think NASA, because I mean, let's be honest here. The whole moon project, like going to the moon, was pretty fucking risky.
Yeah,
we went with computer processors that were less than this board, less than our phones, right?
Yeah.
I think they probably had like canned footage filmed that they were just like, okay, this is what we're going to go with.
Sure.
If shit hits the fan, we're not going to tell, we're going to tell people they didn't make it back.
Right.
We're not going to tell them they fucking blew up landing on the moon. So I think they probably gave us some sort of canned kind of like maybe prototype, maybe some sort of special effect type thing that they showed the American people on television that I think was probably somewhat fake. I mean, I do think that there was real footage stuff in there, but like some of the landing and stuff like that, I think that was all fuckery.
Think so.
But I do think they actually did go, and I do think that we did land. I do think we put flags on the moon. I think we did all that shit, but I think what they aired to the people on July 7th or whatever, 1969, whatever that date was. I can't remember what exactly it was, but
it's probably on there.
I do think that they did not see the actual landing that night. I think they probably saw maybe once they were out of the capsule and everything, and they were like, okay, they made it. Cool.
Show the footage.
We'll show some footage now.
Yeah. Well, because I agree with that, I think. Because I'm just trying to think of technology back then, but you can't think that because technology is so far advanced about what we don't know.
Well, so here's the thing, right?
So like videoing.
There's a lot of the conspiracy aspect of that too, is that Stanley Kubrick is the one that actually filmed the stuff for NASA.
Okay.
To actually, and I mean, when you think about it, not too long after that is when you had like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and everybody's blown away by his special effects. He was so good at that craft. He just kept on making movies, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of the conspiracy rant of it, is that I think we went. I just think that whenever they were showing some of that stuff, it was pre-canned footage that Stanley Kubrick actually filmed.
Right. It could be.
That's my thought.
May never know. May know, but that's a good one. So your scale then on your rating?
So I guess that's why I said that's hard for me to say, because I think part of me wants to say, did we see fake footage? I would say probably I'd give that an 8.
Okay.
Did we actually go? Yes, we absolutely went to the moon.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that.
I'd say, I mean, 1. I think we went to the moon. I'd give that a 1.
I agree.
I think, did we see some fuckery? Probably an 8 or a 9.
Well, I could dig that. I'd say I'm pretty close to that. I'm not as much into the whole footage thing, but it just seems like there's too many people that, when it goes to something like making things like that, there's too many people that can talk.
And when you got to think too,
too many secrets, man.
That was the height of the Cold War. Like, we had to make sure we were going to.
Oh yeah, we had to win that shit.
Yeah. So like, there was no chance in hell we were going to come off looking like assholes.
True. Very true. No, I mean, putting that in perspective, and in early stages of television and effects,
world stage, the whole world was watching.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that would be a thing, because now if you would do something like that, it would be 10 times harder to figure out, because shit is so good now. Mm-hmm. Like, you could put me on the moon and people would believe it.
There was some shitty ass black and white video most of the time, and it was blurry as fuck. You could have pulled off all kinds of stuff.
100%. No, I agree with that. That's a good rating. I won't even give mine. I think mine's about the same as yours. Oh my god, Paul McCartney's death. You know about this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saying he's been dead.
Paul.
Yeah,
false Paul.
So I'm not gonna read anything about it. I don't give a shit, regardless. But Paul's alive, man. Sorry to tell you guys that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of a fun thing to kind of play around with. But
it's neat.
I would give it maybe a 3.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll say 3.
I mean, I could totally see, like, if you think about it and you want to rationalize it out, I could totally see the record company at the time, Apple Music back then, not the Apple Music we know today, right?
Sure.
But the Apple Music back then being like, oh, we can't lose Paul, so we're going to get somebody in there because this is our cash cow. We're going to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, but
I don't think it happened.
There's too many people that know Paul McCartney. Mm-hmm. And there's too many people to shut up.
Yeah.
One of them was Lenin.
Wait, he did get himself killed.
Ooh. Was he going to tell the truth?
He was going to tell the truth.
He was going to tell the fucking truth. When are they saying, real quick, when are they saying that the false Paul came in? 1966. Yeah. So, yeah. That's
a long time to
That is
secret.
too fucking long. Or
Because Lenin died in what, 79?
80s.
Was it 80s?
Yeah, dude, it was got to have been the 80s. I can't remember when Lenin died, but it was definitely the 80s. Definitely the 80s. Because he had songs in the 80s. He had that fucking awful song with him and Yoko. Oh my God, her interpretive fucking. Oh my God. I should talk about that instead. But let's move on. JFK's assassination. That's the biggest on the nose shit. So what are we looking at? Is the JFK assassination a conspiracy? I give that a 10.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think we can go. I think we can extrapolate something here, because we believe this is a 10. Like for sure, I'm pretty sure there was some fuckery going on here. Mm-hmm. That's also what gives 9/11's as much credence as it does,
for sure.
Because
for sure,
and even the moon landing in some way. I mean, not that I think the moon landing was fake, but we already went over that. But I think the JFK thing, I definitely think
there's too much, and when people get close to this, like really, really get close, they get fucking discredited, or they tried to get discredited, and then there's just nothing about it, and then the documents don't come out about it because people are still like why aren't they releasing documents? And even if they do release some documents, they're not going to be the documents that we all want to see, because the government isn't going to fucking have a document saying, yeah, this is your contract. That's not going to be a thing. That's not going to be a thing. I don't know what people want from these documents. There's not going to be a thing saying, oh yeah, you're going to assassinate him. This comes from the head director of fucking the CIA. Hey, there's no paper trail on that. There's no way there's a paper trail on that. There's no fucking way. The second gunman, the weird bullet found in a weird spot, the bullet that potentially doesn't look like it's been damaged at all. Regardless, shit can happen. Bullets are weird. Yeah, we've all seen what bullets can do and how they move around. But there's too much, man. There's so fucking much. And everything he was against and what he was trying to do and the fucking enemies he was making and height, 1969? Are you fucking crazy?
Yeah, well, and that's
that progressive of a fucking president?
It goes back again to like the moon landing thing. There was no way that we were going to look like chumps.
Nope. Fucking power front, man.
And there was no way so there was a lot. I mean, when you think of America, United States, post World War II, you have the rise of the intelligence communities, right? And that's where I think we get into a lot of, because everybody's heard the speech where he says, we're opposed to secret organizations, secret groups. Yeah. He's talking about the fucking CIA.
100%.
And the KGB and all those cat and mouse games that were starting to get played.
Yep.
The CIA at this point had already started Area 51. They were doing so many different ops. I mean, and they were just, as much as we want to act like America's never done anything wrong. No, we know that. They were doing the experiments. MK Ultra was starting. All this kind of shit was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he knew a lot more about it than what he was. Well, he actually wanted to kind of expose a lot of it and be like, we can't let this happen.
It's like an extremely high-profile Snowden-esque situation to where, if he was allowed to do what he was going to do, he was going to fuck with some shit that people were not happy about.
Yeah, and, there was too much money involved. There was,
So we both can give that a 10, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
The Roswell crash and cover-ups. That's very localized for us because we've had the same. We live in the city where some shit happened, and not too far from us in terms of locale, some shit happened in roughly the same time frame. So
I'm going to give you something a little bit of a different take on this.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard this before or not. I don't know. Was it Stalin that would have been in control of Russia at this time? Or would it have been Khrushchev?
Was this 1949?
1949? So that would be Stalin, right?
Well, Stalin was gone. wasn't he? Was he still after the war? Was he still?
He was still in power.
Is he still?
I don't know what year he's died.
I don't know. It would have been
I
Stalin.
guarantee
Then.
he didn't give up the power until he died.
Yeah, yeah. Of course not.
So this is where I'm going to say is probably a slightly different take. Stalin, post World War II, felt very betrayed
By the Germans, you think?
Well, so he felt betrayed by the Germans. He also felt betrayed by the Americans, right?
In Germany, they fucked up.
They totally did, and he was.
Fucked that dude.
The thing is that Stalin
Funny though.
was our ally, right up until right after the war. But the only way the military-industrial complex can survive is if we had an enemy. So they turned it against Stalin. So
Sure.
Stalin took some of the Nazi scientists that he had captured, because they captured them on both sides. We had Operation Paperclip in the United States.
Yep.
You had whatever they probably did in Germany or in Russia, where they took scientists, and we know that Himmler was doing, I think, or is it Mendeleev, was doing a lot of experiments with genetics and those types of things.
Yeah.
Where they took basically humans, fucked them up, probably did some sort of weird chopping them up, shit like that. Took some of this experimental aircraft that the Germans had, and that's what they captured. It was a fucking Russian psyop.
Could be. Could be. Definitely could be.
Yeah. Russian psyop of some sort of like German specialized craft that the Russians had captured, put little fucked up genetic experiment things in there, and crashed it in the desert.
That sounds more plausible than having to be fucking visitors. You know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, so that's, and I'm not saying that that's what I think it was, but I think that's a possibility for sure. And it could have been just to even test what our response systems were like.
Sure. Yeah. And it would have been a very good response, because he would have found out clearly that they're able to fucking shut shit down quick.
Yep.
And not allow people to do it. So the cover up, regardless of what you think, the cover up is a 10.
Yeah. No, there was definitely a cover up of something.
There's still no. Did they ever come out and say is it still a weather balloon they're going to go with? Is that, I don't even know what the full thing is that they're going with.
That's the last unveil, was that it was a weather balloon. Now, and the interesting thing is, we've talked about this, I think, before on the podcast too, was they're saying that was a test run for a real cover up, and that was this one.
That was for here in fucking Aztec.
Yeah.
Yep.
They say that was the real cover up.
The real one.
This one was the one where they kind of botched it, and this is where they wrote their playbook.
Right. And it could be. It's one of the greatest conspiracies to ever. It's just so fucking.
Well, it brings about like the stuff that you talked about earlier, where it was post the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all these UFOs start coming up,
and technology just goes berserk,
ballistic,
absolutely insane. 2,000 years of nothing, and then all of a sudden, fucking everything.
Yep.
In a matter of 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, really? That's so strange. Or it's not, whatever. But yeah, 100%. That I give that a 10 as far as the cover up. As far as what the crash was, that's not what's in question here. We're just talking about the cover up. So
yeah,
I say 10. I don't know if you think that's.
Yeah, I don't think. I honestly, and I always have a hard time. I mean, even if you can traverse the deep, dark blackness of space, and then all of a sudden a microwave from a radar station takes your ship down.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems weird to me.
And it could be anything too. You ran into some shit, things are still physical as far as we know, it could be anything. Could be, if a bullet can pierce matter, unless you can phase, it can fuck up your super fast ship too, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Or they never came from the depths of space and they were here the whole fucking time and they just slipped in a pocket that we don't know about yet.
And that's true too. I don't know specifics. I don't know exactly.
But I get what you're coming from. Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Again, because I go back to, at this point, we're so close on the brink of AI and artificial intelligence. Why the fuck would you be sending out skin bags to go do this kind of dangerous shit?
No clue. Yeah. It's
You're going to send something that could like survive a half-life of who knows what.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Anyways.
Do you know about the protocols of the Elders of Zion?
Yes.
Okay. And what are your thoughts? going to get into this one too much because it's a fucking hole.
This would be a huge one for Rick.
Yeah.
Because he's very much like, and this is where he and I have a, and it's not even like a beef per se, but
you got beef, son?
So, and I could be wrong. Go ahead and read this to me real quick.
Okay, so this is from livescience.com. The protocols of the learned, whatever you want to call it, Elders of Zion, is a hoped anti-Semitic book that, oh, my eyes are hurting, that purported to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to achieve world domination.
Yeah.
It first appeared in Russia in 1905 and described how Christians' morality, finances, and health would be targeted by a small group of powerful Jews. The anti-Semitic idea that there is a Jewish conspiracy is nothing new, of course, and has been repeated from many prominent people, including Henry Ford, Mel Gibson, of course. In 1920, Henry Ford paid to have 1 million copies of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion published, and in the 1930s, the book was used by the Nazis as justification for its genocide against the Jews. In fact, Adolf Hitler referred to the Protocols in his book, Mein Kampf.
Yeah. So there's still supposedly, I mean, there's still a lot of this that's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot within the Jewish state where they believe that the Jews are, and so my beliefs, right, because I'm Christian.
Sure.
And the way that I was brought up is that you protect Israel at all costs.
Right.
And that they are very much, I mean, when you look at Israel, I think they deserve protection. I think they deserve a lot of extra help because they're in the middle of a hornet's nest.
Sure.
And they've got a very small country that everybody wants in that area. Now, some of the shit they do, maybe it's not the best. I don't know. But they still say to this day that the Jews basically are not necessarily the Jews. I can't say the Jewish people, but it's the Zionists.
Are you saying Jews could turn into cockroaches?
They turn into cockroaches. Yes. The Jews are running, not necessarily they're running the show, but there's also a lot of weird stuff where they are forcing the hand of Armageddon and Revelations, and I don't know. I don't know where I feel about this. I feel like I give this one, and I think Rick would give this one very high.
Okay.
And I would probably put this one pretty low for myself.
Same. I don't see it.
I'd say 3 or 4. But I mean,
but again, would you see it? The possibility that this happened, dude, it's huge. Let's not put that. I mean, it's huge, but it's gone. Like if it was going to be like the forefront, people are publishing and doing all this shit.
They didn't even have a country at this point.
No. So I don't know. I don't know when this came about, like in terms of when it really gained traction as a conspiracy theory versus just a tool for propaganda. You know what I mean? I don't know if it ever was, and then someone just took that and be like, oh, well, this is, people take things out of context all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I probably maybe a 4, 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I think
I don't even think that, though.
I think Rick would see that one completely different.
A little bit higher. He's more learned it. He probably knows more.
He knows a lot more about that than I do. I'm aware of it. I've never given any credence to it.
Okay. The Satanic Panic. You heard about this one?
Well, I'm guessing that was the 80s.
Yeah.
When we were kids.
Yeah, the mutilations, fucking.
Because that was, everything was satanic. D&D was satanic.
Everything. I give this a 0 out of 0.
Pecker, you were satanic. Do I think Satanists exist? Yes.
Oh, 100%.
Do I think all this stuff that was going on? I think there was a lot of sick motherfuckers that probably. But I think there's always been a fascination with the perverse.
Of course, right? That's what we do. It's outliers. It's the opposite of the norm. That's just what it.
They want to put all these people together where you have one asshole that went into this room and painted a pentagram.
Yeah.
And maybe he jerked off at a corner, and then you got somebody else that was like, oh, look at this room. It's evil. I'm going to kill a little kid here. Mm-hmm. They had nothing to do with each other, but it happened to be in the same spot.
Sure.
So.
I think people are people. There's serial killers. There's crazy people. It is the way it is. Was it a big push somehow?
So what's a conspiracy? I guess I don't understand.
Okay, so let's fucking talk about Geraldo and shit, because that's why it's probably got traction, because it was like frontline shit. Like it was on the fucking news.
And there was a lot of weird things. Like when you look at JPL, right? Jet Propulsion Labs,
Yeah.
From NASA and stuff like that. There was a lot of weird stuff, and that stems from Crowley, right? And then I can't remember the guy who ran JPL. He ended up, and he was friends with L. Ron Hubbard. He ended up kind of killing himself, but he was supposed to be doing a satanic work when it happened. But there's a lot of stuff that has to go with astral projection, astronomy, NASA. There's a lot of weird stuff that starts to happen within those circles.
Right.
But this has nothing to do with any of that. This is all just going to be the satanic.
It's the panic.
Yeah.
The satanic panic.
I mean, there's a lot more satanistic stuff that happened in our history than what people probably realize.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't think this was anything.
No, it was just a time and period where it was that was what was going on. And like you see something on the news and then you're fucking fucked in the head to some extent and you're already going to do some shit. Well, let's do some other shit.
Alan Parsons was that guy's name that I was trying to think
of.
Alan from Parsons. JPL, yeah.
Okay.
And then that gave up rise to the group Alan Parsons Project. A song called Eye in the Sky, Lurking at You.
Ooh, dropping knowledge.
I am the eye in the sky, looking at you. I can cheat you blind.
Damn, are you part of the cult, man?
I got handshakes and everything.
I don't even know what to give that.
1?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even understand what the conspiracy is.
I don't either. It's more of a comment on the 80s fucking popularizing of fucking violence in the media. That's what I assume more so. But chemtrails.
So another one. This one's an odd one for me.
It's a what?
Odd one for me.
Yeah.
Because I've put a lot of thought into this one. There was a time in my life where I thought chemtrails for sure were real. Right? And I mean, I guess in some way I think they are real. But I don't think, because I've heard it to where they're actually poisoning the atmosphere to kill us.
Sure.
Kind of like your little clip that we started off this whole thing with.
Yeah.
But then I think about that and I'm like, well, if they're trying to poison the environment to kill us, who's trying to do that? Because we all breathe the same air. Mm-hmm. The only way I give it any type of credence is if they're trying to do some sort of weather control type with it.
Sure.
By seeding clouds and those types of things.
China's got it covered now. We're good. Or Korea. Which one is it? China?
Which?
They made a sun or some shit.
Oh, well, but that's like it's a plasma ball within a. It's like a CERN collider kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just a weather thing. I was just thinking, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I can. Whatever. I don't think it. Again, you said it all. Like fuck, we all breathe the same air. No one's breathing different fucking air.
Yeah.
So why would they do that?
Yeah, because that goes back to the elites. The elites want to kill off a third of the population or half the population. Whatever the fuck. You're not going to poison the whole planet.
That ain't the way to do it because your elites are going to go with you.
Yeah.
Unless they have the fucking special sauce.
They got the special.
They got their own.
They got the machismo they take.
They got their own can of air.
I'm just like, so I think maybe they could be trying to seed clouds, those types of things.
Yeah. Could be. I don't know. I'm not even going to do the birther, Barack Obama. I'm not going to do COVID and 5G. I'm just not going to worry about it. I guess we could do 5G, but really,
we've talked about that on the podcast. I don't think
ad nauseum. Yeah, I don't think and I don't really give a fuck. Like whatever. Like,
I think COVID could have came out of a lab for sure.
Oh, it I think it's all but been proven. Like I think it's all but been set in stone that it definitely came out of the Wuhan lab.
Yeah.
And we were definitely involved in it, as far as our CDC is involved.
Yeah.
Because we do the same fucking gain of function research here that they do over there. Mm-hmm. They just don't talk about it. And we got to demonize somebody, right? Which is so weird that we're not demonizing China right now because we don't really technically have a war going on. But we do. It's between us. The new war is
us fucking China.
No, it's us, Americans, fighting each other for dumb shit.
Yeah.
But it pays the bills because it's always something. But we talk about fucking COVID, man. Fuck that shit. Birds aren't real. Have you heard this one?
So I've never heard that.
I'm surprised this is like a top. I've never heard of it either. It's the last one. What a fucking way to end.
I have heard, like, I've read a book where birds were used as spy type things. What the fuck does this say? Birds aren't real.
When is a conspiracy not a conspiracy? When it's an elaborate piece of performance art, or does that make it even more of a conspiracy theory? That's maybe what you're talking about. The Birds Aren't Real Conspiracies movement developed by Peter McIndoe, 23 years old. Oh, goddamn, 23. Who started spreading the idea in 2017. I'm not reading the rest of this. 2017, 23-year-old. The fuck out of here.
So no, finish it. Like, I mean, what does it mean? What is he talking about?
It's a flat earther or some stupid shit. All right. Until December 2021 interview in the New York Times, McIndoe stayed in character as a true believer, insisting in the media interviews and online that birds aren't real, but rather they are surveillance drones made by the U.S. government. Birds Aren't Real has a staff. It has organized real-life protest. It bought real-life billboards, and it emblazoned vans with their claim. The goal, says McIndoe, is to parody the misinformation that Gen Z finds itself stewing in.
It's not a conspiracy then.
No.
It's just some asshole went around telling everybody birds aren't real.
Yeah. Yes, we have been intentionally spreading misinformation for the past 4 years, but it's with a purpose, McIndoe said. It's about holding up a mirror to America in the internet age. So, it's not a conspiracy at all, but it is funny.
Yeah.
Because people fucking were believing in this shit, and then they came out and be like, yeah, this is bullshit. Because they're fucking idiots. So, I like it. That's a good way to end. At the end of the day, people are stupid. And I'm people. I'm people.
Yeah, I am.
And I'm fucking stupid.
I'm fucking stupid too.
But I don't know. That was fun, dude. We haven't done this in a long time. I wish Rick would have been here. And I also, maybe next time we dive a little bit more into the occult or the supernatural aspect of things.
I'll pull up some stuff on JPL and some Alan Parsons stuff.
That'd be cool.
I'll pull up some things because there's some crazy connections when you look at Crowley. And then fucking the shit that NASA was doing, and yeah, I'll pull some shit.
Mr. Crowley,
bow, bow.
What's going on in my balls? What do you got, man? Where you been? What do you got to plug, man? Plug something for us.
Plugging the holes that I got to use with the flex tape for. I don't know. I mean, I got nothing going on.
Nothing.
No.
Well, I appreciate you guys listening to us.
We already gave you all of our stuff. Like, if you've been listening this whole time, you got our Potter, you got our Twitter earlier, you got our email. And thank you. I mean, welcome back. I mean, we're back from the dead. We disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
We came back. Yeah. Maybe it was a conspiracy.
It could have been.
Wanted to block us
Figure it out. Right. As of 2120.
We ever get any message?
No. As of 2120 on January 28th, 2022, Gregorian calendar, Mountain Standard Time, as it's known in our era here in the 21st century, right?
Yeah.
I never know centuries. It's always ahead. So yeah, 21st century. Nothing. Doesn't look like anyone, and we would just be so insignificant that motherfuckers didn't even hear this. You know what I mean?
It could be.
Yeah. It's not like we're Rogan.
Or
probably.
Maybe I never made it to upload the episode. So.
Oh God, I don't want to hear it. But knock on all the stuff. Yeah, but if you're here with us this whole time, man, we appreciate it, and I hope you will learn something. If you did, you probably leveled up. Goodbye, folks.
Peace.